Hi, everybody. Now that you had the opportunity to play with ChatGPT to make a video game in p5.js, what I want to do is show you some of the nuts and bolts of how websites are created. So you watched this previous video about HTML, Java, and CSS, and I think it's really interesting that although we have some really cool ways to make websites, so Google Sites, Wix, Square, HTML, Weebly, it's really nice to know that the website is really grounded in these three languages: HTML, which allows us to see things on the screen; CSS, which allows for the styling editing of the screen, color, font, etc., and JavaScript, which allows for those actions. So what I want to do is show you how easy it is to make a simple website by making three different files using the text editor if you are on a Mac, or the Notepad if you're on a PC. And there's a link to this page that really shows you the difference right here, because I think some of you are on a PC. And what I'm going to do is just show you how easy it is to make a website. In this case, we're just going to have the functionality of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript show up on a single page that allows us to click a button and display a pop-up message. So seeing the words on the screen, that's HTML. The formatting of the words, that's CSS. And the action of the pop-up, that's JavaScript. And then you're going to have a chance to edit that and change that and play around with that and have fun just seeing some of this functionality that exists. The website's going to be running in your browser. It's not going to be hosted online. So when you share your work, you're going to screencast that and play with it. Now, full disclosure, I am going to do this, and I don't know what's going to happen. Right? I don't know what ChatGPT is going to give to me. So it might not work, and I think that's going to be great for you to see the way that I'm going to tinker with it to get it to work, similarly to how you did with your p5.js games. And I wanted to close out the workshop this way because I think it's just really cool that ChatGPT can do some of these really intricate things that we used to have to take classes to be able to do. So it's really cool. So I'm just going to say, please build a colorful website that displays a text message as a pop-up that appears only when a button is pressed. Generate the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in separate files. All right, so let's see what happens. All right, so I'm going to copy this code and make my first index.html file by clicking text editor. That'll be Notepad for you. I'm going to paste it there, and I'm going to say file, save, and I have to call it index.html because that's the file that's going to be referenced. I'm going to replace it because I have these files already on the screen from a previous activity. Now I'm going to go down to my CSS. Notice that page is going to be called style.css. So I'm going to add a new one, file, new, paste that in, file, save, style.css. So now I got that page in my website. Close that out, and I'm going to go to my script. It's called script.js because that's exactly what it is. I go here to Notepad, paste it in, file, save, script.js. Boom. Okay. So now, this is my website. Okay. The styling is contained here, the actions is contained here, and the normal text is contained there. To run it in my browser, I just click this. Okay, cool. So notice it made me a centered page. I got a green button here for my pop-up. And when I click this, ooh, this is a pop-up message. Okay, so click the close button. So now let's go through. It worked. Let's go through and let's edit this. So not editing that. I'm going to edit the JavaScript because I want to change what appears in the button. So I'm going to look around for that. So let's try and find where that text is. So what is the text? It says, this is a pop-up message. Click the close button or anywhere outside the pop-up to dismiss it. Okay. So this is a pop-up message. Was it in the JavaScript? Maybe that's referencing the HTML. So I'm going to search for it. This is so it's not here. So I bet this is referencing the HTML, and it's there, but it's only showing up when we click that button. That the pop-up itself is the action. Okay, here it is. Check it out. So I'm going to change this to I love science, and I'm going to change the bottom message to close this. All right. So notice this is really cool that the JavaScript is referencing this. So this is the pop-up container. And if we go look in the JavaScript itself, we see the pop-up container code right here. So the JavaScript is referencing the HTML. That's really cool. So we're making the edits within the HTML in this case. So now I'm going to run this page, and I Love Science close this. Great. So I made a very simple website. What can you do with this? Really fun to play around with. Let's go through and let's see where this green is in the button. That's going to be in the CSS. So I'm just going to search for green. Okay, so color. All right, so must be here. Color shows up again here. Let's find all the places color shows up. Color. Okay, this is the close button. Pop-up button. Background. Color. White. Pop-up hover. Okay. Close button. Okay, that's the close button. So let's just tinker with this a little bit and see what happens. Okay, so we have the background color. We're not going to mess with this. We have the first heading color, the pop-up container. Is this color here? What is all this? I have no idea. Let's just make this like 1.1 and see what happens. Okay, it didn't really do much there. Let's see if we can get something to change in the CSS. And notice, this is just so much fun. We're just tinkering around here. Pop-up content, pop-up container. I see all these 3. Let's just make this like 6. And let's see what happens. Okay, notice that's a little more gray. That's cool. So let's make that even more extreme. Let's make that love tinkering around like this. Let's make this like 0, 0, 0, and let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens when we do that. It's not seeming to do much. So I'm not sure what that color is. What is that color? Let's inspect. I want to find this green. Let's find this green and see what we can do it. Pop-up button. Maybe it's this thing. Maybe let's change this to like a 5 and this to like a 3. And let's see what happens. See if that messes anything up. No? Huh. Pop-up button. This is the pop-up button. Background color. It says white, but that is definitely not white. I think that might be the text itself. So this, I think, is the green pop-up. So let's make this all like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And let's just see. If that messes it up, we know that we're targeting the right thing. But there it did. See what it did? It got it. Now, the hover is still green. So let's go now. Let's find the hover. That's what they mean by. So pop-up hover is one color, and then that's going to tell us what green is. So pop-up hover. So this must be the green color that we had before. Okay, so you see how I'm messing around with this, and it's really a chance for you to tinker with coding and to start learning how coding works sort of backwards by generating it first and then tinkering with it. So I'm super excited to see what you can do. I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but hopefully it's a chance for you to see that even people like myself that already know coding can model for you what it looks like to use ChatGPT to generate things like this. Okay, so good luck, and I'm excited to see what you all do with this.